Hey guys, I don't know why I'm having fuzzy problems with my camera here on my computer. Get that figured out later, I guess. We are here for another real estate Q&A. So if you have a question, as always, message in, send me an email, shoot me a text, whatever. We can get that answered right away. Got a few things to talk about, and let me grab my thing. Today we are talking about, we're going to talk about our market. We're going to talk about the cost of convenience when you're a seller. And then we're talking about the market and how it's shifting and changing and what that means for buyers. So we'll start there. The national news media is still telling everybody doom and gloom. The market is not crashing, you guys. The market that we saw that was super negotiable, prices were dropping, all of that has ended. That was back in November, December. That was our 4-week buyer market. And we have swung back into a weak seller's market that just kind of keeps gaining strength. So if we're going to liken this market to anything, it would be like 2015, 2016, 2019. Those would be 3 years of a normal market that we saw slight appreciation, which is typical for Phoenix, but those would be markets that are similar as far as the speed and trajectory that we're seeing. So there's no looming crash. We're not seeing any drastic measures like this. We're not seeing a massive COVID dip. We're not seeing a massive COVID run. We're not seeing like 21 and 22 where it was skyrocketing crazy. We're kind of back to normal. So in a weak seller's market, prices don't go down. There's a little bit of negotiation, a little bit of wiggle room, but if there's a good house, chances are somebody else also thinks it's a good house, and you're going to be competing. So we're still getting some of that in our world where if it's a really great house, we're still seeing sometimes 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 7. I've heard 7 lately on one of them. But 7 offers on these listings. So you have to be prepared to come to the table if it's a house that you really, really want. Concessions, we're not seeing a whole heck of a lot. Before, where the average concession was like $10,000 a house, it's coming back down. I don't have the most recent number. I can pull that up and we can talk about it next week. But I believe it's somewhere around like 6,000 or 7,000. So there's still a little bit of that, but not a whole heck of a lot. So this week we dropped below 13,000 active listings. And so what that means is that the number of homes that you have to choose from, remember, we always like it to be in the mid 20s. So like 25,000 active homes on the market. So we are at 13,000, which means that there's fewer listings coming to market, fewer homes for buyers to choose from, which also means that when demand outweighs supply, prices will go up. So our demand at the moment, we have 10,000 homes that are under contract. So 10,000 pending listings means that there is an overabundance of buyers based on the supply that we have in the market. So those things are going to go like this, which is going to cause our prices to start climbing again. Again, I don't see it going like that, but it's probably going to just kind of keep going at a normal weak sellers market like we're used to. We've also had a couple conversations this week, and I feel like it's good to mention here about what the cost of convenience is. So everybody is different on what they're willing to pay for, what they're willing to spend money on, and how they're willing to structure their sale. But it is something worth talking about. If you don't like having people in your house and you have a killer smoke and rate, I personally would rent that house out and keep it and keep growing my wealth and move on and not have to deal with it. If you need the money from that, there are certain options that you can take. You can choose in a cash offer pretty quickly without going to market, but you will be sacrificing some of your equity. Sometimes that looks like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Sometimes it looks like $300,000. So that all depends on your situation, your house, the amount of work, the investment potential, any of that stuff. But if there's a stress or a weight on you that says, I don't want to do this, that's up to you to make that decision. We have plans that can cater to any one of those scenarios. If you really want to push price and push it all the way, we can go for full-blown staging. We can go for full home remodeling. We have the works to be able to do any of that. But it really does dial down to what do you want from your home sale, and then what are you willing to live with, and what do you not want to have happen to your lifestyle. The question that just came in here is, sorry, switch gears here. Asking questions about solar. We can certainly talk about solar. So solar is, well, let me back up. Hopefully everybody understands the cost of convenience that we were talking about. So switching gears to solar, there are two different kinds of solar things when you're going to look at a house, right? You have your lease solar. Okay, so lease solar and then the owned solar. So when you're doing a lease or an own and you're assuming payments on that, your lender, if you're getting a loan, needs to be aware of those guys because those new payments will factor into your new debt to income ratio with your mortgage on it. So you have to be really, really aware of that. If you're buying something and going to be taking it over and like it's an own system and there's no payments on it, that's the best case scenario. That's solar I'm for all day long. But when you do something like that, make sure that you don't actually ever stop your service, especially if it's a grandfathered system. Don't disconnect and then reconnect. You want to do a transfer with the either APS or SRP so that you can still get those grandfathered credits and still be able to sell back power depending on the system. I think 2017 was when that change came about. So fun fact. The other piece of that is if you're going to be looking at solar, make sure that you're going to be staying in the house long enough to be able to recoup some advantage. I don't like leases. The owner of that system gets all of the benefits from it. You as the one who's actually leasing the system, whose roof has been ruined with these solar panels, will get none of the tax benefits. You don't get any write-offs. And your lease payment year round is actually going to be probably more than your overall electric bill. Now, if you own it and you bought it and you're paying on payments, make sure that you stay long enough past the end of your loan term to recoup some of those benefits because that loan that you got on that system is likely more expensive than you would have been paying for your electrical system just straight through APS normally. So there's a lot of things to kind of pay attention to when you're looking at those. If you do own it though, there are tax benefits, so you might be able to recoup some of that money. There's a little bit of a weights and benefits there. So if we don't have other questions, then we'll check back in next week and see what we got. If you want to make sure that your questions get answered next week, feel free to email me, Chelsea, CHELSEA, at yourreddoorteamaz.com, or feel free to text me 602-748-6136, just like these guys did, and we'll get that answered. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.